there are plenty of Apple Samsung cases. So tell us which one in particular is on the docket this week and why it is so important.
Well, this has to do with Apple's claim that Samsung copied the design of the iPhone. The allegation is that that was central to the iPhone. Samsung wouldn't have done nearly as well without it. It is $400 million, which even for Apple and Samsung is an amount worth fighting over. And there's some more lower court proceedings that could mean an additional $180 million for Apple if it wins at the Supreme Court.
Now, I remember being live on the set as the headlines from the original verdict were rolling in, and things have obviously changed since then. It's been a couple of years, in fact. So, talk to us about the back and forth over the last 2 years and why we think the Supreme Court might do anything differently.
Well, we started with 4 dozen or so lawsuits at various points between the two sides, and now there are only a couple cases left. So we've sort of narrowed down what we're talking about here. A federal appeals court said that for infringing Apple's design patents, Samsung had to give its total profits from 11 disputed phones. And Samsung appealed to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court is going to consider whether that's actually too much, whether the lower court needs to look at which parts of the phone were actually affected by the patents, and whether the amount should be something much less than that.
So how are we expecting this to play out? Obviously, these are 2 companies that have a lot on their plate. We're going to be talking about the Samsung recall issue coming up a bit later in the show. How big a priority is this particular case?
Well, it's certainly not the priority that it was, 4 or 5 years ago when these suits were at their peak. Apple has this $15 billion tax fight with the EU. That obviously is a much larger sum of money, and who knows where the battery issue with Samsung is going to go. But this is the last of the smartphone cases, or one of the last ones, and for each side, validation still matters. They want to win this because they feel like they have been wronged by the other side. Apple thinks its designs were stolen. Samsung says, no, we are innovators and we came up with our own design.